Good afternoon. Hey, I'm Dr. Bill Christenberry at Caldwell Mill Animal Clinic. And one of the questions that we get around here a good bit is about a pet's anal glands. Now, nobody really wants to talk about anal glands because that's a touchy subject that is part of a dog or a cat's anatomy on the south end of a northbound pet. They can be rather malodorous and messy, but again, they are part of their anatomy and makeup, and people want to know about them, and they can often cause some issues. So I was going to talk to you a little bit about that today. First of all, what are the anal glands? This is a drawing of as I said, the south end of a northbound dog. The anal glands are a little kidney-shaped sac that fills up with fluid, and they're about 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock on in the anus of a dog, just right under the skin, embedded in the anal sphincter muscle is where they lie. And what are they there for? Well, our pets started out many years ago as wild animals, and God made them with certain defense mechanisms, and their anal glands are one of those. Now, the anal glands are the same thing that skunks have, that they use so effectively that you can smell sometimes driving down the road. And what they use them for, as you know, is defense, to drive away predators or ones that cause them a threat. And God gave other animals that as well. Theirs are just not as specialized as the skunks. That's probably why skunks aren't normal pets. Dogs and cats are, because dogs and cats have anal glands. They just don't use them like a skunk does. But the use for them as far as defense is a dog or a cat, when they get upset, when they get hurt, when they get afraid, when they get angry, they'll tense up, and their anal sphincter muscle will tense up, and that's where those anal glands are, and they'll squeeze them out, and the fluid comes out of them, and the fluid is really pungent. It's awful. It sort of has a fishy metallic odor that if you smell it, you kind of know it. It's pretty unique, but it's awful. Notice it, just the same. And so they would empty those out, and so if another animal is in the area, they'll smell that, and they'll think to themselves, there's an angry animal nearby, I'm going to stay away. And so it's sort of a defense mechanism to drive the others away. So that's sort of what they're there for. They don't use them as much anymore, obviously, because they've been domesticated, but they're still there, and so they can cause some issues that we don't like if a pet is indoors and those glands can empty out inadvertently on the couch or on a chair or on the carpet, and that's awful. Nobody wants to smell that in the house. So other issues with them is that sometimes the little opening that they have that empties them out is not large enough on some pets, and so the gland won't empty out, and then it can end up becoming abscessed. And this depicts that here. This is actually the normal anal gland in the anus of a dog underneath the skin, and it has a little duct, a little opening. Every time a pet has a bowel movement, it sort of squeezes that gland, and it'll empty out a little bit of the fluid at a time and keeps them emptied out. But if they don't empty out correctly or they get infected, this is what you can end up with, where that duct doesn't allow it to empty out, and it abscesses and ruptures underneath the skin over here, and that has to be treated with antibiotics, sometimes even with surgery. So people say, well, okay, so my pet has anal glands. How often do I need to have them taken care of? Well, the answer to that is usually never. Most pets never have to have them expressed or emptied out because, as I said, they normally do every time they have a bowel movement. But you do have an occasional pet that has a problem with them. They they're a little bit loose, I guess you could say, and so they empty out on the furniture, and people just don't like that. So they'll bring them in every 30 days, every 45 days to have them emptied out by us, where we go in with a little gloved hand, and you can express that gland, empty all the fluid out of it so it's emptied out. And sometimes you'll see a pet scooting. You've seen that before. It's funny, and we make fun of them, but that's one of the reasons why pets will scoot, is that anal gland gets filled up and they're trying to empty it out. And that's not the only reason pets will scoot around. They'll do that just if their bottom's itchy or if they have tapeworms or some other reasons. but that's something to be on the lookout for. So, but they still need to be taken care of in some pets sometime. So if you see any of those symptoms that have to do with that, the odor that you might smell from an anal gland, if they're scooting on their rear end, if they're licking at their rear end incessantly, things like that would indicate problems back there, then let us know and we can come up with a plan on how you might need to deal with them. But most pets never need any attention with them. So that's a little bit of information about anal glands. I'm glad we were able to have this talk because it is difficult, and I'm glad it's over. So have a great day. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.